There you are. Would you like to continue our chat?
What else can we expect to find in the Zenith base?
As I mentioned in the briefing, that's where Beta and Gaia are. There are also printing facilities where the others have been amassing the natural resources they've stripped from the...
What for?
First for use in the base's infrastructure, and then to have a small army of them.
When I was out in the wilds, I saw a shuttle take off from the island, heading for space.
It was likely ferrying materials to and from our ship. After hundreds of years luxuriating in our digital comforts, the ship was barely space-worthy when we made our escape. Disaster can strike at any moment.
Have you figured out how Sailens's weapon works?
No, and he's been very careful. I'll admit it bothers me, but I am confident it will deactivate the other.
How many of them are in the base?
10, including Eric and Gerard. Only a handful of us made it to our ship when our colony collapsed.
Why do you think Elizabeth pulled away?
I've wondered that She was brilliant. She cared so deeply. But it also felt like she kept everyone at arm's length, including me. She never wanted to share. I think, in the end, sometimes I wonder if anyone really knew.
I found a record after Zenith's attempt to steal Gaia.
Yes. A most unpleasant conversation.
She said something after the call. I think she regretted how things ended between you.
Did she? All this time, thank you for telling me. I've always hated that those were the last words we ever said to each other. And that her last impression of me was as a functionary of Zenith, not who I truly...
You said Beta's not in urgent danger.
Putting her to work. A difficult, time-consuming task, as I'm sure you know. They will compel her if need be. But her life is not in danger. She's the only one.
Right. Because you people made it.
Gerard's idea, not mine. They always viewed me with suspicion when I attempted it. That's why I created the data channel.
So this channel, you share...
Gerard believes he's the most cunning of all of us. Even after 1,000 years, he still can't imagine that I would outwit him. The channel allowed me. It offered us a chance.
Until you cut off all contact.
Yes. Though it pained me.
She felt like you tossed...
I was afraid the others would find out and punish her. She may not have had the comforts of friendship anymore, but at least I ensured she was safe. I know it seems harsh, but you must believe.
Why did you make the data channel look like your house?
I built that house as a shelter to weather any storm. A safe place, not just for me. Cultural artifacts of, truly, some of the greatest achievements of human civilization.
And you wanted Beta to see them?
Yes. I thought if she could experience Vermeer and Rembrandt, it would bring something else into a heritage every bit as valuable as data being drummed in. I'm sorry I had to cut off contact, but I'll never. She needed its
So you know a lot about me through my old focus.
What would you like to know?
Well?
When I was 8, thousands drowned, my parents included. My guardian sent me to boarding school. Among my peers, I was all because of circumstances beyond my control.
So we're a lot alike,
aren't we? You were an outcast, but you didn't let that stop you from getting what you needed. Neither did I. I climbed first from the technical, profitable expertise, but as it turned out, the software I developed was even more useful for counterintelligence. From there, it was only
You were a spy?
More like a service. When I had to remain anonymous, of course, but despite that anonymity...
What happened when Zenith approached you?
They painted an irresistible vision of humanity, one where we need not fear, where we explored the furthest reaches of the stars and thrived. It was only later that I realized that they only intended to bequeath this. By the time I finally figured it out, the walls were closing, Pharaoh's machines were devouring the earth. So I accepted Farzineth's invitation to. I wanted Liz to come. But she had nobler plans, as you.
You said before that you're not like the other Zeniths. That you never were. But you went along with all of their plans.
Out of necessity. I'm not proud of it. Both when Earth was consumed and when the colony on Sirius was destroyed. I did what I had to. But I resolved to remain one step ahead of the others, to try to undo what damage I could. Hence the data channel with Beta. The secret passage into their base and the little trick I pulled.
What can you tell me about Gerard?
He was the head of the world's largest financial conglomerate, and as such had dealings with almost every major corporation. It made him one of the wealthiest people on Earth, and so
What does one person do with that much?
buy more power, more influence. Gerard's always believed himself to be a refined, able to maintain control, but beneath that exterior is a cold. It was his decision to restrict Beta's upbringing to the avatars of the Apollo database, while we were painted as her benefactors.
Well, we'll deal with him soon enough.
I would very much like to see his face.
So, Eric. Was he always a bloodthirsty psychopath?
I believe he got worse over time. On Earth, he was the founder of a profitable private military company, a band of cutthroats, in other words. Even as governments abandoned human combatants, he found success with clientele that required him more. There were also rumors that he personally hunted, all for the thrill of it. But on Sirius, he retreated to virtual reality simulation. In them, he could go on rampages, as though I suspect with diminishing
All of his tribe believes he was one of the greatest people from the old world.
then they would be quite though I'm sure he'd bask in the adoration.
When I was in the ruins of Vegas, I found data on a man named Stanley Chen. I think he was a Zenith.
Stanley, ever the optimist. When we established our colony, he built an exact replica of Las Vegas in virtual reality. Lights, shows, gamble, and while others cloistered themselves in their own fantasies, he flung his doors wide to everyone.
The way you're talking about him, I'm guessing he didn't make it back to Earth.
No, he perished when our colony was destroyed. He would have been thrilled to discover that part of his beloved city.
When Beta escaped and hid in an ancient research facility, I saw another one of the Zeniths, Verbena. Who was she?
A dull star amidst a sea of brighter constellations. Unlike most of Far Zenith's members, amassed their wealth through shrewd business deals and technological achievements, Verbena inherited her billions. Her father had achieved great success in the luxury holotourism industry. At age 24, she became the world's most eligible bachelorette, branding herself a life designer. Someone who leverages their fame to influence the choice.
What, like a cult?
In a way, yes.
Well, she must have done something right to have survived this long.
She was her own brand of ruthless. But even rats can cling to a vessel for escape.
Okay, so I've had run-ins with a handful of Zeniths. What about the rest?
An array of the wealthiest people on Earth. Titans of their industries.
And let me guess, all selfish and ruthless to the core?
Most, but not all. There were a few with whom I got along. Annika Murjani, for instance, was always delightful. She founded the HoloNet's most successful dance channel and was herself mesmerizing to watch. And I had fascinating discussions with Song Jiao about her work in cellular biology. Our immortality treatments are due in... But then there were others like Devin Miller, the CEO of a fast food printing corporation. His only real preoccupations were perfecting his golf swing and taking self-hollows. When I think about all of us, we really should have accomplished more. We had eternity.
I should be going.
I'll be making final preparations.